Welcome back to 843 TV, coming to you today from the beautiful Zion Cemetery here on Hilton Head Island. Joining us is Rich, and we've been talking with Tom, aka William Boehner, to learn about the wonderful history behind this piece of property. Gentlemen, tell us some more about the tours. Obviously, we're a tourist island, lots to do besides golf and tennis. Certainly there's options to come here and learn about the history, so tell us about the tours that you offer and who can go and the cost.
Be happy to, Lisa. We actually offer a couple different ways of learning about the Zion site. One of them is through a program we offer on Tuesday mornings at the Heritage Library, 10:30 on Tuesdays. One entitled Patriots and Planters, and that is all about the culture of the area during the period of time that this was in use as a cemetery and that the mausoleum was built. The tours of the site itself take place on Friday mornings at 10 o'clock. They're open to the public. You can purchase tickets by going to the heritagelibrary.org site, or you can go into the library and sign up for the tours and pay when you get here. There are a couple different ways, or you can walk in and pay $10 per person for the tour when you're here. We'll tell you all about the site, the people who are interred here and their life stories, as well as the story of the mausoleum and the chapel that was once here. But it is a fascinatingly rich historic site. Mentioned that it was one of two sites on the island that has ties to the Revolutionary period. It is also the oldest standing structure on Hilton Head Island, built in 1846 prior to the war. So a very significant place.
Sure. Tom, would you tell us about how this was built? Tell us about the materials that were used, how you went about it.
Well, it's after, in the background there, it's Greek Revival style. And I wanted it large enough, there's room for 20. The walls are brick, but it has Carolina red stone facing. The roof are 5 slabs across on either side, and they're limestone. Above the door, I inscribed integrity and uprightness, hoping that my survivors would take that as a way that they should leave their life. There were 2 marble doors, and on either side of the marble doors are 2 torches, and they're upside down. And they're upside down because they signify life cut too short, because I was only 49 when I died.
Ah.
You know, and the structure itself, too, is one that was unlike anything else seen at that time in these parts. You would normally have had to go to a fairly large city, a Savannah or a Charleston, to see a mausoleum of this ilk, other than the one that was here. And the construction of it was really a magnificent process. It also has around the base of the structure, there are limestone panels on the ground so that there was a walkway around the entire perimeter of that structure. And it was all polished. It looked perfect in those days. Now, the ravages of time, some vandalism have taken their toll. The walls, the sandstone that Mr. Baynard referred to before is actually peeling off because of the moisture content. And it causes an efflorescence that just bubbles the actual paneling of the red sandstone away. So we're engaged in a capital campaign now to raise the money to restore the mausoleum to its former grandeur. We're into the process about a quarter of the way, and we're very eager to complete it so we can get to work restoring this incredibly valuable historic asset of Hilton Head Island.
Great, great. Another question for Mr. Boehner.
All right.
We've learned that your body was buried in the mausoleum, but can you tell us of anybody else that might be buried in there?
All right. I 4 years after, 5 years after I built it, 4 years actually, May 2nd, 1849, I died. And in 1854, my wife, Catherine, joined me. And we think there were probably about 5 more burials there. And I'll let Rich tell you, University of South Carolina, Beaufort, I'm not really up on this. He's more up on what happened after that. I'm out of that.
Well, I mean, we'll start what happened after Catherine, Mr. Baynard's wife, was buried there 4 years after he passed away. But you know, we believe that some of the other Baynard family were buried in the mausoleum as well. During the interval between 1868 and 1989, the cemetery was left open, unprotected. We know from an article that was in the state newspaper in Columbia in 1901 that the doors of the mausoleum were open in 1901 when someone came to visit the island on a hunting expedition. He happened to be a physician. He came to look inside the mausoleum and noticed that there were coffins strewn around the floor. One of them contained the remains of a woman who he said must have been incredibly beautiful in life. Long blonde hair, young woman. We believe that was possibly Catherine Baynard, but the coffins had been opened, probably treasure hunters looking for things. And so when we had the University of South Carolina Beaufort archaeology students come in a couple of years ago, they actually cleaned out the mausoleum. And cleaning the mausoleum out, they found human remains, bones. The coroner did his number, and then we've had those bones been taken by the State University of New York in Binghamton to do some DNA studies to try to track back to the Baynard family those remains so we can verify that in fact those were Baynards in the mausoleum.
Wow. Well, gentlemen, thank you for sharing about this remarkable site and all that history behind it. And if you're a tourist here on the island or a resident and you're watching, check out the Heritage Library. Come on down and see the cemetery itself here on Hilton Head Island. And you stay right here because we'll be back with more 843 TV.